السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Inshallah, we continue the story, the new prophet today. We have the story of Prophet Isa, continuing what we started last time. Let's do a quick recap on the birth of Prophet Isa and some of the history behind him, and then we can continue the new story of Prophet Isa, inshallah. So we originally began with the story of his mother, which is Maryam. We said the mother of Maryam, which is the wife of Imran. Now, is Imran a prophet? How special is Imran? We know that Imran is a special and righteous person, and the family of Imran is a family of righteous people. We do not know who Imran is, like we mentioned last time. And then we said that the mother of Maryam, which is the grandmother of Prophet Isa, um, had devoted the child that she had. She was pregnant, and she said that this child is going to be for Allah only. That this child is going to do. I don't like. It's like I'm donating this child for Allah, to work for Allah and to serve the religion. Okay, and she anticipated a boy, but she ended up having a girl. And when she had a girl, she still donated her for the sake of Allah. In what sense? Meaning that she raised her up to serve Allah and serve Allah's religion, and that was Maryam. She was a very righteous woman. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ, he said Maryam is the best woman that Allah had ever created. So she's the best of all the women. So as she's growing up, she had been taken care of by Zakaria. Zakaria is a prophet by one of the prophets of Allah, Prophet Zakaria. So he had taken Maryam in and took care of her. Now again, why did the Prophet Zakaria is the one who raised her up and not her own family? We do not know for sure. Some of the scholars said because they are related. The family of Prophet Zakaria and family of Imran are related. We don't know for sure what had happened, but Allah told us that she was raised up by Zakaria. He was taking care of her. And when Maryam grew up and she lived in seclusion from the people, one day she is faced by an angel. And she doesn't know it's an angel, it's a human being, and this human being comes to her. She gets frightened by this being, by this human being. She thought a person maybe wants harm, and he tells her that I am a prophet sent to you by Allah to give you the glad tidings of a child that you're going to have. And she's asking, how can I have a child if if I'm not married, then I don't have any husband or anything. How can I have a child? And then he tells her that this is what your Lord wants, right? This is what Allah decreed. That's what's going to happen. And that's what did happen. Shortly after, Maryam ends up being pregnant. Becomes a very difficult time because she's being tested. How is she going to return and face the people again? Because what people are going to think of her? She does end up going back to the people, bringing with her this child, and everybody is acquiring. Who is this child that you have? Why do you have a child? You're not even pregnant. How is this? How you were not even married? How could this be possible? And some accuse her of fornication, that she did, that she had an illegitimate relationship. And she pointed at the child, and that child is Prophet Isa, and he spoke at birth, right, as an infant. And then he said that I am sent by Allah. I am the servant of Allah sent by Allah to call people to the path of Allah. So he tells the people that he's a prophet already from an infant age. And he was, of course, this is a miracle because no baby can speak. And he spoke about the innocence of his mother. And growing up, Prophet Isa, he grew up in Jerusalem. He grew up in Jerusalem with his mother. Of course, he has no father. So once Prophet Isa reaches the age of 30, he received the message from Allah. What is the message that he received? So he received the message of prophethood from Allah, and he sends him after. So now he's sent to the children of Israel. the children of Prophet Yaqub, remember them? Now there's, of course, they're much, much more. They're a big, huge tribe. Okay, so he sent to them to tell them to bring them back to Islam and to bring them back to the straight path, because some of them have went astray. So, and he's also coming with a new book, the Torah. I'm sorry, the Injil, because the Torah was the book that was given to Prophet Musa, and Prophet Isa is now giving the Injil. And in the Injil, Allah makes the law a little bit easier for the people, because Allah had put a strict law for the Jews before. So now Prophet Isa is coming with a new book that has much, much ease for them, allowing them to do things. Like, for example, some of the examples to show you that Allah was very strict at the time of that they had to observe the Sabbath during the Sabbath, like our Jum'ah, like on Fridays, right? But during their special day of the week where they listen to like a khutbah, like a sermon and things like that, they have a lot of restrictions. They can't cut anything, they can't sell, they can't buy. So many restrictions for them. So there are many things that were like that. So the law was difficult for some people to follow, and this was placed upon them as punishment, because they would continue to ask Allah for more rulings, right? For things that they could not bear. Like, for example, if you remember when we talked about the story, when they wanted a king so that can lead them and they can fight. When they get the king, they couldn't fight. So they would ask Allah constantly for things that would be placed upon them, and then they would not be able to fulfill it. So one of the things, and the day of the Sabbath, for example, is a day that they asked for. They have asked for a day, give us a day where we can focus on worship and not do any work. So there is many examples like that, which made the law difficult upon them. A great example of this is in Surah Al-Baqarah. You know, the second surah of the Quran called Surah Al-Baqarah. And in the surah is named after a cow, right? Baqarah means cow, the chapter of the cow. What cow is this? This is the cow of the children of Israel. Allah commands them, as we mentioned in the story of Prophet Musa, slaughter a cow, any cow, doesn't matter, just anyone, any cow, small, young, anything. But then they kept asking questions. What kind of cow? What color is the cow? How big is the cow? So many questions. And every time they would ask a question, Allah would give them an answer, which would make it more difficult to find the cow, which made it the task more difficult. So they continue to do things like that, and that's why the law was very strict upon them. So anyway, Prophet Isa is coming with ease, with an easier law for them to follow. So that's one of the reasons for the sending of the Injil, and one of the reasons of the sending of Prophet Isa. So, of course, Allah, with every prophet, Allah sent a miracle, like we mentioned before, to prove that he's a prophet. What were some of the miracles of Prophet Isa? There were many miracles. So Allah gave him lots of abilities, and that's, you can say, part of the reason people have taken him as a god afterwards. And Prophet Isa's story is very important, because Prophet Isa is a very problematic figure. Not Prophet Isa himself, but what people have made out of him later on, because he is, you can say, the reason why the three religions exist. Not exist, but they differed, right? Or in separate different positions. So the Jews refused him completely, right? And the Christians believed in him so much and took him as a god, right? Or a son of God, son of Allah. And the Muslims, we believe in him as he was a prophet, right? So he is the most fundamental thing that all three religions differ upon. So anyway, so Prophet Isa comes to them, start calling them to Islam. Of course, like we said, he has to bring miracles to prove that he is a prophet. So Allah given him many abilities. Like what? He is given ability to cure the sick, right? So people would come to him sick. Prophet Isa would say, in the name of Allah, and wipe over them, and then they would be cured, right? A blind person, Prophet Isa wiped their eyes, and then they become cured. A dead person, Prophet Isa would tell them to stand up in the name of Allah, and they would stand up or come out of the grave, or come back to life if they were still not in grave yet. So many great abilities. Prophet Isa will be able to create, he would make the a shape of a bird out of dirt and then blow in it and mention the name of Allah on it, and then the bird would become a real bird, right? So many abilities that Allah had given Prophet Isa. You can say lots of it is medical abilities that were given, and in addition to walking on water and things of that sort. So he was given lots and lots of abilities. So he did have sizable followers, Prophet Isa, but of course, all of his followers were what? The same followers of all the prophets, the poor, the needy, right? The people in need. So they were slaves, right? The bottom of the society, basically. So these companions of Prophet Isa, the ones who believed in him, now he's with them, he's calling them to Islam. And there is an existence of two main groups at this time, which is the Jews that we're talking about right now. So some of them became Muslims and following Prophet Isa, and some would refuse Prophet Isa completely. And they will say, because the Jews know, the children of Israel had prophecies from Prophet Musa that there is a Messiah coming, a Messiah coming. Messiah means an anointed one, someone anointed by Allah, someone placed in a position of leadership by Allah. And this is Prophet Isa. So they refused to take Prophet Isa as the anointed one, right? Someone anointed by Allah, the Messiah that they're waiting for. And they said, this is a child of fornication. His mom had an illegitimate relationship and had him. This is not a prophet. We reject him completely, okay? And they continued to, not follow him, and they rejected him completely. Some believed in him, as we see. The government that was ruling at the time was the government of the Romans, right? The government of the Romans, and they're not going to like the message of Prophet Isa, because the governments usually do not like the messages of the prophets, because the messages of the prophets would make the people slaves to Allah, and the government would want the people to be enslaved to them, not literally, but listen to them, obey them, take them as the God, not literally as the God, but meaning follow the government, right? Let the government be in the position of leadership, not Allah's rules and regulations. So they wouldn't like the messages sent by the prophets, and that's why they were against it. So Prophet Isa one day, by his disciples, okay, they're asking him, we want you to give us more proof. We want you to ask Allah to give us a table from the sky with food on it. A table from the sky. And see, such an odd request, and very specific, and very, not like a simple thing, but like asking for big things. So Prophet Isa told them, be careful what you're asking for. Be careful what you wish for. Because if anybody disbelieve after, because if you ask for this, you maybe not be able to pay the price. Because if Allah gives you a miracle and you don't believe, you get a worse punishment. You get a worse punishment, because that means Allah have sent you a miracle. It means you should definitely believe. And if you don't, you're going to be punished worse. So Prophet Isa accepts after they kept asking him, and he makes dua to Allah, invoking him, asking him to give them a table from the sky with food on it. So Allah accepts Prophet Isa's dua, and he tells him that if anyone disbelieve after they get this table, they will get punishment that no one from the human beings, from all of mankind, will receive, right? This is a big miracle. So this table comes from the sky, brought down by the angels. Prophet Isa opens it for them. The people come and they start eating. They're happy. They have all this food that they're eating from. Now, fast forwarding to the last event in Prophet Isa's story. Prophet Isa rules over the Muslims for only 3 years. Okay, He doesn't rule as a ruler, meaning he was the prophet for about 3 years. Now, Prophet Isa's message was not very successful. He was able to call the people to Islam and do his part, but um, did not succeed, meaning the Muslims did not prevail, did not win against the disbelievers at this time, right? He was only there for 3 years. So at the age of 30, he becomes a prophet. 33 is the end of the story, 3 years later, right? So not much after. So what happens exactly? Prophet Isa, he tells his disciples, right? He's talking to his disciples. He's notified by Allah. The people are plotting against Prophet Isa to kill him because the government grew tired of Prophet Isa. They wanted to kill him because he was his movement was gaining a sizable followers. So he's becoming a danger to the government. They did not want him. And it seems like they were incited also, or like they were incited by the Jews as well. The Jews would not believe, right, to take Prophet Isa out. So Prophet Isa, notified by Allah that this is going to happen and they're going to come and attack him, Prophet Isa tells his followers that which one of you would take my resemblance and Allah will give him Jannah. And one of them ends up volunteering to be the one that Prophet Isa, that would look like Prophet Isa and will die in his place, because these people were already coming to attack Prophet Isa. So when he accepts, Allah will put the resemblance of Prophet Isa on this man and he will be killed in his place. So he was tortured and killed in Prophet Isa's place, and Prophet Isa was lifted to Allah. So where is Prophet Isa now? Prophet Isa is with Allah. Is that body and soul? Yeah, the whole thing. Prophet Isa as a person, all was taken up with Allah. He's still at the age of 33, did not age. Okay, Prophet Isa, throughout this year, the person that was killed, obviously the disbelievers saw that this was Prophet Isa and they thought that they killed him. Okay, the disciples of Prophet Isa, the believers of Prophet Isa, the companions, knew that this was not Prophet Isa. Okay, but what we have today is that people thinking that the person who was killed is Prophet Isa and he's dead and he had risen back from the dead to be a god. Let's pause here, inshallah. Next time we're going to still continue about the story of Prophet Isa, but we will go deeper into it because there is a lot to unveil and learn. And this story affects millions of people, if not the whole globe, until today. The story of Prophet Isa, we're still living the story until today, because it has to do with all the main religions that are, or at least the Abrahamic, what is called as the Abrahamic religions, but the Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So we want to discuss this in much details, inshallah, next time. So pause here and we continue next class, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله